we're going to start with the breech bolt. First thing to do will be knock out the cross pin that holds in the firing pin. So, it should be a simple matter. Knocking that out. And keep it in its own little pile. Don't mix up anything. Now I'm going to slowly remove my punch so that the firing pin doesn't fly away. Oh yeah, there's some gunk in there. So there's our firing pin. Set that aside. There should be a spring under there. Oh, let's see it hiding in there. There it is. Spring. Now, there is a ball detent as well, hiding in here somewhere. There it is. That's not a ball, but it's a tiny little detent. It goes on the other side of the firing pin spring. Now all that should free up the extractor retaining pin, which is actually inside this hole right here. So it's kind of a blind hole. There is a very, very, very small hole here, but none of my punches are that skinny. So hopefully I can use inertia to get that out, which means basically turning it over and slamming it on the desk, on the bench. It's probably full of gunk. So that may have to come out a little later. Another trick to do would be use a magnet, which I happen to have right here. No, that thing is not wanting to come out yet, but it will. We'll get it. All right, I'm gonna give it a couple more slams, maybe that'll free it loose. Nope. So I'll spray some solvent in there, try to get it out that way. I'll just make a mental note that that's still in there. But that pin frees up your extractor here. So I'll get that at a later date. For now, keep all these parts together. So, like I said, now we'll go ahead and disassemble the fire control unit here, trigger mechanism, which contains your feeding device. So your magazine sits in here, shells would basically dump into here, and then the lifter lift it up as the bullet comes forward and feeds it into the chamber. It also serves as a stop for the rest of the rounds back here. So this all works with the action of the breech bolt. All right, so we're going to free up tension on the hammer by, looks like the safety works. So free up the tension on the hammer. Then there is a few pins to punch out. I'm trying to recall the order here, but shouldn't matter a whole lot. Basically just attack the ones you can see first. All right, that's stuck on something. So we've got, the hammer pin can probably come out. Okay, there's the hammer. Now the hammer has two little spacers on each side, made of nylon, I believe, which always amazes me these manage to survive so long. But they look like they're in fine condition. So there's the hammer assembly spring and retaining pin. Just kind of get these stuck in the same pile. Oop, there's the safety. Now, Yeah, safety is retained by the hammer pin, that's right. Okay, let's see what else we can get out here. Pin. So we got the sear system in here. Sear spring, sear itself, and an actuating lever. That's kind of all one unit. They're swaged together, or riveted, or looks like swaged, but that'll stay as one complete unit. I'm not going to disassemble all that. Then we've got our trigger, and trigger's held in by another cross pin. Fairly straightforward there. Just knock that out. And that should free up our trigger right there. Pin. Almost there. So all we got left is this feeding system here. It consists of 3 pins, I remember pretty well. Obviously that one. Very small roll pin here and another retaining pin here. There is one spring and plunger under there. I think that's what this pin's holding in, if I remember right. So, really no order here either. Just whack them out. Just a little stubborn. A little bit stubborn. There we go. Sometimes these pins are swaged in, yeah, directionally, so you can see the little serrations on that. So really, it needs to be knocked out in this direction. If you try to force it out this way, you're going to have a bad day when you wallow out that hole. So with that pin out, let's try to get these other 2. Appropriate punch. Yep. Same deal here. We got a serrated pin. So that only comes out one way. Looks like it's exactly the same as the other pin. And now, one more pin to get out. It's like a very small 1/16 inch, 1/16 inch roll pin. Yeah, a little smaller than that. So, let's see if I got my very here on this one. Don't know if this one will actually work. Don't think it will. Oh, it's going. Now I'm just driving it into the middle of the roll pin. Okay, I need to grab one punch from over here. All right, thought I had all my tools out and ready, but I guess not. So here we go. Okay, that pin's out. Now that should free up everything inside here. So we have our lifter / follower. Excuse my hands for a second. Basically a kind of a feed ramp essentially. And you're, like I said earlier, lifter and follower style. And then there's the spring and little nylon pads for the spring. So the spring's actuating that lever there. So with those out, I believe that's going to be it. And again, we got another aluminum part, so we got all the steel out so that we can refinish all this part. So with this pile of parts on the bench, I'm going to go ahead and segregate them into their own little places so I don't get anything mixed up too bad. And proceed to, we'll probably start on the wood, get that stripped, get some finished stripper on that, bust off the rust on the steel parts with a wire wheel, and kind of assess from there. This can be bead blasted, this can be bead blasted. So we'll proceed with the refinish on this guy momentarily. Okay, here we are at the bench. I've got the entire rifle disassembled, stripped down, ready for cleaning. So we're going to take it back into my other room where I got my ultrasonic cleaning tank and give this a good thorough cleaning because it is full of gunk and nasty stuff. So follow along with me and we will go back to that other room. This is a working shop, so we've got an air compressor running. So I'll shut that off momentarily. Okay, so here's my ultrasonic cleaning system. Works really well for getting all this gunk and crap out of here. Let's try to get a little bit before and after on some of these parts, just so you can see how well it cleans everything. That's probably the worst one. Yeah, there's some more schmutz on that. So yeah, anyway, it's just simply a matter of putting everything in the basket up here, letting it roll for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and they usually come out spotless. All right, so I'm gonna kick my compressor back on for my boy back in the dirty room. We'll be back when everything's clean. Here we are with the Winchester 190-22 buttstock and forend. What I've done off camera is applied some stripping agent to the wood. Basically, that's going to accelerate the removal of the original finish. On this one, I believe it was an oil finish. You can kind of tell when the stripping agent kind of cures or dries. If this were like a lacquer or some kind of polymer-based finish, it would actually be flaky and dry. This still looks wet, so that's a pretty good indication that this is an oil finish. Not really any difference to me, but it is a little easier to remove, which is nice. And then also, it'll be a little less sanding involved as well. And this wood was actually in pretty good shape. So anyway, I'm going to take my custom-made scraping tool here and proceed to just scrape all this off. So bear with me. This will be a little bit of a process, but we'll get this all off and get it ready for sanding. All right, so I've got all the original finish removed on this Winchester 190-22. So now it's just a matter of sanding the wood down, kind of working my way up in grits. Start with 80 to knock off all the scrapes kind of that I did with the scraper and get any kind of dings and dents out of it as best as possible. Then you do what's known as whiskering, which is getting the wood wet, primarily with a warm rag or something like that, which will allow the fibers of the wood to kind of curl up. And then you step up to the next grit and sand it down and repeat. Usually end up around 320 grit, and that's pretty much sufficient for a job such as this. But we'll definitely see as we progress. So after that, once it's satisfactorily sanded down, it'll be time to add some finish to it. So now it's just, like I said, just a matter of grabbing some sandpaper and sanding away. Okay, I got the buttstock for the Winchester 190-22 rifle sanded down, 80 grit. So now I'll just go ahead and whisker it as I was describing earlier. I thought it'd be neat to show that to those of you that aren't familiar with the process. Wet towel, fairly warm. And we're just going to wipe the stock, which should actually reveal some of the grain. So yeah, that'll be a little bit more like what it's going to look like when it's finished. Of course, it'll be sanded more, but it does kind of reveal the grain of the wood and kind of the details. So just want to get it evenly moist. Not dripping wet or nothing, just enough moisture in there to curl up the fibers. And so what's going to happen is all the fibers are going to curl up in the wood that's been exposed, and it will allow me to sand down past that. And you repeat the process over and over again until you get the texture you like out of the wood. So anyway, yeah, just I'll stop here and show the progress. So gonna let this dry, come back, and once it's dry and whiskered up, we'll sand it down again and repeat this process until we're finished.